8:30.
They went the other day.
Today's Tuesday, April the 9th, 2019. And I'm calling the Golf Course Advisory Board City of Pharr to order. Item 1, roll call. A,
Artemio Palacios.
here.
George Gonzalez.
Here.
Javier Martinez.
Here.
Rudy Martinez.
Here.
Jaime Villarreal.
Here.
Javier Garcia.
Here.
Mario Liscano. Oscar Villa Gomez.
Here.
Juan Willingham.
For the record, no, Juan Willingham called me about, say, 30 minutes ago that something came out that he won't be able to make it. He was supposed to be here. He had told you or something. I don't know about, Mario Liscano is the new board member. And it's on item D, but I don't know if I need a motion to excuse both, or do I hear a motion? No?
I move that we excuse Juan Willingham.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion on the floor by member Villarreal, second by Martinez.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Excuse, non-excused will be Mario, no?
Right.
Okay, go to item 2, on administrative. A, approval of minutes for February 12th, 2019, regular call meeting.
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Okay, motion on the floor by Vice Chair Gonzalez, second by Oscar. Any addition, deletion, discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Approved. Item B, consideration and action, if any, on revenue and expenditure report for the month of January and February 2019. Mike, for flavor?
For flavor.
Call.
For flavor. Esto es.
Okay, good evening, gentlemen.
Yeah.
The revenue and expenditure report, well, we will start with the month of January. Revenues for the month of January, $75,123.31, with expenditures of $102,311 and 42 cents.
Mike,
Yes.
excuse me for a second. No member, Jaime wants-
We forgot to do this. I'm sorry, Mike. We're interrupting you, but can we have a moment of silence for our colleague,
Yes.
Eliseo? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry, Mike.
No problem. That's
Thank you.
It's a lot more important. The, especially for January, gentlemen, revenues down, roughly $7,000. Expenditures pretty much in line with what they were in January of last year. Special note of interest in January, talking to some of the other golf courses, they were pretty much in the same boat with revenues not being as expected, and mostly pretty much all of it attributable to the fact that we just didn't have decent weather going on in January. Again, that seems to play a part in, well, that is a major part in what we do. Moving on to the food and beverage portion of the expenditure report. In January, beer revenue was $4,197 with the cost of $2,136. That left us a profit of $2,060. Moving over to the food. Food was $6,800 with the cost of $3,781, showing a profit of $3,024.83. When we factor in the payroll, payroll for the month of January was $6,353.26. I'd go into all the results, but I'm gonna hold the results off till we finish with February to give you the total cost on the as far as the beer, food, payroll, and the approximate total revenue. That has your January that's your January revenue and expenditure report. Moving into February. February, we bounced back a little bit. We did $89,850 in revenue with expenditures of $96,361. Point of interest there is the fact that we bounced back, even though it's not a lot, but February was a better month, and at least we proved to be a little bit above what we did in February of last year. The food and beverage portion of February showed a revenue for the beer of $5,287 with a cost attributable to at $1,225 with a net profit of $4,061. Going into the food portion, revenue was at $7,925 with a cost of $3,909, showing a profit of $4,015.42. Now when we factor in the labor associated in February, coming into $5,452, what we have for the month of for the year ending in February, we're showing an approximate total revenue of the food and beverage of $1,661.78.
Let's say it was in the positive.
Mike,
Sir.
quick question here on the revenue for beer and food now. For the month of February, do you attribute these to more tournaments or what?
No,
So you can see it's going up, and less cost for the beer, and then.
true. I'm gonna basically said part of the cost, Mr. Chairman, has to do with payment of those invoices having to do with Encode, so on. So there may be a lapse. Some may have not been reported on a timely basis, so on. But yeah, as far as the revenue goes, it shows that people were. It shows that especially for the month of February, we were about even with dollar amount as far as total revenue goes. But it's nice to see the food and beverage part of it, showing that people may have not been as playing much golf, however, they were sticking around to eat, so on and so forth. And that's basically the membership, the people that have prepaid their annual or their 3-month green fee, so on and so forth, not having an opportunity to play, but sticking around and having, participating in the specials that we ran and eating, so on and so forth. And of course, too, the tournaments that we had.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You go ahead first.
What's your markup percentage on your beer and your food?
Food, we try to stay around a 35% markup. And
Your
beer is higher than that. Beer, we try to get it into about a 60%, I believe,
So,
which is still lower than still compared to other golf courses, we're still at the low end, but people like that.
Beer prices are fine. Mr. Chairman, are you done?
yes, sir, thank you.
What do you attribute the fact that from a year ago in February to this year in February, there's a difference of $69,000 on the
Expense side?
revenue less expenses?
Yep.
I mean, that's a
That's a lot.
lot.
That's a lot. Lot of it has to do, gentlemen, I did some research and took a look back there, and I'm gonna tell you that there is a percentage of it that is personnel, that has to do with personnel services. You know, the things that we can control, we are trying to control. You know, as far as the supplies go and the maintenance. Sometimes maintenance we cannot get away with.
That's right.
But the personnel services, of course, then you have then you kind of have your debt service factored into it, of course. So, overall, looking at the, numbers and everything else through, I'm gonna say through the month of January, looks like we were overall about $6K less in 2019 than what in 2019 compared to what we were in January.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but a lot of, again, going back to it, it's just personnel services, so on, that have kicked in. And the timing and the payment, if you take a look, 1 month seems to be low, 1 month seems to be high, so on, and that's just a fluctuation, that timing
see
of
that.
paying things.
Can I follow up on that, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, go ahead.
I can see our revenues have gone down, but they're steadily going up. But, as my colleague was saying, I'm concerned about the expenses, and we questioned this a couple of months ago, hitting the six figures 2 or 3 months in a row, 4 months in a row is concerning to me. You said you looked at personnel services.
Looked at
Do we
personnel
have more manpower
services.
compared to last year?
I looked at personnel services, let's just go for the month of, let's just look at the month of February as an example, if I'm not mistaken. We were basically, looking at comparing notes, everything else is particularly insurance, so on, was, we paid basically $5,000 less in 2018 than what we did in 2019 for the month of February.
Do you have more personnel, Mike, than last year, 12 months ago?
Yeah, we didn't, I don't believe we had I don't believe that we had a superintendent, one, and number two, don't forget, again, it's minor, but don't forget also that there was a pay increase for the part-timers, and I do believe also in February, it was a 5-week period, I believe, to where there's 5 weeks. So all that is factored in.
The other question I had, Mr. Chairman, was there's a line item that says transferred in, and it's a year-to-date total of 225,000, and it's on the portion where it has your, it looks like it's money that's coming in from the general fund that's under your revenues column, but it's not being booked as revenue. It's actually being subtracted from your overall revenue to come up with the total that we're coming up
I
with,
see
which
that.
is 392. So that line item, I don't know if y'all see it.
Yeah.
It's item 48. It's 225,083 up to,
It's underlined 41.
and it's divided equally to 41,216 per month. So this is money that I guess the city is
Pitching in?
pitching in
Brings in.
to run the course.
Brings in,
Okay.
correct.
correct?
To offset it, yes, yes. That's a transfer in from the general fund.
From the general fund. Alicia?
You see that right there?
Yeah, 41.
One thing is that we're looking at that I was, again, I'm the eternal optimist, but if we take a look, and I've got this here for
Ya te lo había
February
visto,
of 2018, again, I'm on the revenue side, I'm looking at the revenue side versus total year-to-date. February of 2018, again, we were just, year-to-date was just over four, was
400,685.
just over 400,000.
400,685.
And now we're down, now we're at 392.
But if you go back 2 years, it's 434, and then go back 3 years, it's 405,000. So the pattern, you're at the 400,000 threshold, but you're below the midpoint. And now on the expenses is the one that's more concerning, because if you go back 3 years, we spent 459K. 2 years ago, 432, and last year, 432. So we're at 493. So we're at 60,000 above that, which is a considerable jump.
It is.
If you just go by the scale that we have, it's gone like this, and then it's jumped up like that. And then on the other side, the revenues have gone down. At the end of the day, that's what skews the numbers, and that's what concerns me.
Agreed. No, I understand. The thing is, looking at, again, I mean, correct, 5 months, being February, being 5 months into it, and we're 8K behind, for the 5 months compared to fiscal year 2018-19. We're 8K behind, and considering the weather, so on and so forth. Again, I see your point as far as the expenses go on it too, as far as the revenues, and we are trying to hold the line when it comes to expenses. However, there are certain things that we can, certain things that golf course has no control over.
Who audits us? Because we have an auditing line item. Is there an outside company that audits what we do?
Yeah, they come in once a year, at the beginning, at the
Just
end
once
of
a
every
year?
fiscal year.
Do we deal with a lot of cash? Like monies?
No, I mean, not really. In an operation like this, no, it's basically credit cards, because it goes back to one of your questions that you had there that's in my report, is people are wanting to know about the payments that we were paying. I believe it was in the revenue side, as far as what the credit card charges were, as far as the price of doing business. Most of our business is basically credit cards.
I'm just trying to put my finger on it, because years ago, we had an issue with something where we weren't counting the revenue because monies were not being counted in the till. I just want to make sure we've improved upon that, and we have a system in place that we're able to actually make sure that if they come back and they ask you, you have something in place where you can say, I have an auditing process in place where, and I don't know, we had talked about cameras.
Cameras are there.
Okay. We had talked about cameras and stuff like that.
Cameras are there. The auditing processes, I have policies and procedures in place for the golf shop and the grill, so on, to where it is, to where it's checked and
Good.
checked and not checked.
Good.
And there's a certain allowance, and it's not very much tolerable, we'll call it tolerable allowance, that you have, and that's in place too, so on. So it's there, and we have no, I mean, I don't know about the issues prior, but I can tell you that there are no issues having to do with the cash side of thing,
Good.
as far as the golf course goes.
Mike? Checking, and you mentioned cameras and what have you, but do you have a form or some inventory, the equipment, caps, shirts?
Oh, absolutely.
And
We
every
do.
day?
Well, that's
You
one of the
start off
things-
with 50, you closed it in the evening, with 40, so 10 were sold, so that's on the form.
Mhm.
Do you have a s-
Not per item like that per se. It's not like the snack bar. The snack bar is on a daily inventory count, so on, to where the sodas and the beer, so on, and the candies, so on, are on a daily inventory count. likewise, the golf shop is I can pull up a report and I can spot check it monthly, which I do to make sure that we do have the quantity in place as far as, the quantity in place to make sure that it does match, what the computer is showing. It's more or less a spot check.
How often do you do that?
How often do I spot
So
check?
if you have 50 and you sold 10 yesterday, you do a spot check, you say, well, I have 40 caps left out
I
of the
could-
50.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, especially when I notice and the staff members will tell you, especially if I notice a decrease in items or items missing, so to speak, I'll always ask the staff. Say, did we sell this one, so on and so forth, and then, I'll double check and make sure. But yes, I mean, the pro shop, we only have like I'm gonna tell you probably $18,000, $19,000 inventory. That's not a lot, so it's very easy. It's very easy to manage and to spot things as far as when it comes to the inventory.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That's fine. I mean, just for accountability, it'd be a lot easier. You know exactly how much you're making, it's-
Knowing everything is on the computer, I
The
can
reason
run
I
a-
asked, because I used to, real quick, used to be a night manager in Germany in a club, NCO club, but we had to weigh the bottles, how many ounces, in every bottle, how it is. When we open and then we weigh 'em. When we close, we had the form. We know how much money was coming in. It was so many drinks
per
out of these
bottle.
bottles,
Sure.
todo. So
Absolutely.
we knew how much money to be in the cash register.
Yeah, it's all through the
And the
computer.
beer,
so
that's the way we kept track.
Agreed, no, that's no doubt, and that's,
Here,
that's
here, there.
normal for any type of bar business, stuff like that, that's pretty much mandatory. I mean, that's what you have to do for checks and balances, just to make sure that you don't have, in that area, call it skimming, call it what you will, but that's, you have to have those checks and balances in place. Do. One thing though, one thing I may have forgotten about is we do a physical count. I make the staff members do a physical count once a month to where pull out the inventory count sheets and we'll go through them. That used to be done once every quarter, or maybe not even, from what I understand, so that's in place. We do inventory once a month, and we do for the golf shop, and we do inventory daily for the grill, and then look at the numbers accordingly. So, like I said, the policies and procedures and the checks and balances are in place.
Is that the same procedures you all have outside for the barn? As far as, equipment and stuff?
have cameras.
Oil, gas and.
Gas and oil, stuff like that with
general
cameras.
Equipment in general, just to make sure they're not reloading, taking tools home and then borrowing them and then not returning them and.
Well, that's a good question.
And that is a good
because
question.
That has happened in other places, and obviously, that's a legitimate question.
It is.
Because
But you can see
fuel
every,
and oil and stuff like that, how do we keep track of
Right.
how much we
But-
have, or do we?
but all the guys at work, they had to come in the office to hit the clock if they have anything with them, or if you think people steal something, somebody's always in the front counter. I mean, I sometimes I come and talk to Myra, and she's there all the time. So I don't think people are stealing anything out of there.
No, but I think their question was more or less about the maintenance barn and
It's
having
just
to do
The
with
Yes,
maintenance,
well,
that's why I said, I see them
The
when they come to
cameras,
hit
the
clock.
cameras have helped. The cameras, we have cameras, we have 4 cameras down in the maintenance barn area too, so that if there was, things happening that we were unaware of, the cameras have helped to where it's been noticeable. And I'll just, like our past superintendent mentioned, the fact that you're not buying gas as often, so on, because of the location of the tanks we have now and the cameras associated. That says enough. So on.
Yeah, I guess I'm getting to the point, is there a log that says, on X day, February 1st,
only
there was
mainten-
20
cor-
quarts of oil?
Yeah, there's maintenance
At the
logs.
end of the week, there's 6 quarts of
Yeah,
oil. Well,
yeah.
where did all
No.
those quarts go?
To answer your question there, if there was, that's a very good point, and I'm not sure the past superintendent did that. But there are maintenance logs for each machine. They have to do a preventive maintenance because that's what holds up the warranties. And we already went through that when I first got here, so on the fact that there was no notes, no nothing taken, so on. So the maintenance logs, there is a point that they have to do the maintenance logs. Now, as far as the supplies that make up those maintenance logs or that go into those maintenance logs, is there kind of a beginning inventory, so on. That's an answer that I'm gonna tell you I do not believe is happening. But as far as the maintenance part of it goes, yes, each machine has it.
Checks and balances, make sure.
Correct.
Up
And
to
that's
par.
something that the superintendent, so on, I would think would have in place, and that's a very good, that's a very good point, Coach. That's something that, I've left to, the outside, but I will look into that and make sure that we have an inventory, and there's the checks and balances going along with that.
The chairman is busy, so we'll go on to item C.
You got, there's no
Status report?
approval for B.
Huh?
We need
You need
it's
an
an action
approval,
item,
B.
so let's entertain a motion for item B.
Oh, it is, huh?
Are we done with item
sir.
2B?
To be, yes, overall, the expenditure report for January and February, yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve item 2B, please.
I second that motion.
Coach Martinez? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item 2C, Mike?
Yes, 2C, status report.
Real quick on that, Mike, and I know it's just a typo. It should be status report for the month of April, correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's just duly noted. I'm
Correct.
gonna name names.
I don't know who typed this.
It was a typo.
Okay. Okay, status report for the month of April. If you don't mind, gentlemen, I'll start with the clubhouse and I'll end with the golf course. Some of these are questions, so on, that were asked of me at our last board meeting. The bank service charges are what we pay the credit card processing company when the credit cards are used to purchase items. I believe the question was what entails a bank service charge, and that is the fee that we are paying to the bank for the credit cards. The audit and professional services question, dollar amount from January's meeting was the mileage and travel expense associated with the consulting fee for the market analysis. We've begun renewing and accepting Winter Texan Park League agreements for the 2019-2020 season. Upcoming tournaments that we have and had so far for the month of April, we had the Pharr Rotary here just this past Saturday. We do have the Joey Gonzalez tournament on Saturday the 13th, followed by the STPJ Junior Tournament for Saturday the 20th. And then we are ending up April 27th with the Pena Class of 77 Reunion Tournament. Very interesting note. I thought you all would like this as a little bit of, to find out basically what our membership levels are. There hasn't really been a way to track it, and I thought this would be a good year to do it. So now we kind of have a baseline as far as number of memberships we're dealing with and what they are. The 3-month membership level during the height of the season was 93 members, with 62 of those being couples. Our summer sundowner began Wednesday, April 3rd. At 5:30, we had 20 participants, had door prizes as well as closest to the pin along with dinner. It was very well received for the first one of the year. Mobile app is progressing nicely. A lot more things are coming up, and I think some of you may have, those that you have it will notice a few more push notifications coming out, and what we will be doing as far as trying to develop and develop, whichever word you choose to use, a loyalty program for this summer. Online tea times have been actually been working. It's been kind of neat, to be honest with you. People are using it. And I expect it more now, even during the summer, with the locals versus the Winter Texans, because it's just, that makes it that much more available. It's not as, you're not fighting with the telephone in person as much as you were with the amount of people here. Then finally, just another note, just to let everybody know, we do have that local qualifier coming up in July for the National Drive, Chip, and Putt Contest for the kids. We will be looking for some volunteer help. On that day, the time commitment would be about 6 hours, and and we're looking for about 10 to 12 volunteers for that time, and the qualifier begins at 8 o'clock. For those, the date is July the 10th.
The 10th, that's what I was gonna ask you.
Yeah, we are looking for some
And
volunteers.
do we call you if we wanna volunteer?
Please, yes,
Okay.
yes.
It,
I am the go-between on that.
it says volunteer,
Yep,
free.
yes,
Oh,
That's what volunteer means.
yes. For the
no,
kids.
sometimes volunteers, you get paid under the table.
Mr. Chair.
Okay,
Mike,
yes, sir.
No, I got a question before you, to include in
I
the.
need to ask you a question, because I was asked Saturday.
Okay.
Your hours of, duty hours, I told him that you could help, or you can, instruct people after duty hours, being military, after you work.
Right.
You get, and he said, what are your duty hours? So he can call you, because he has to go somewhere to get lessons. That's the commissioner,
Oh,
the doctor.
right. I've
I
already
mean,
talked
not
to the doctor.
commissioner, yeah, he's a commissioner, yeah.
No, I've already talked to the
Caballero,
gentleman.
you
Yes.
talked to him?
Yes, I've
Yeah,
talked to him.
because he wanted, I told him, I think he's there early, and he gets off around, I don't know, 5, I guess. I don't know. if
No,
he's-
the time that we talked about it, again, I'm not exactly, time to get to it. It's going back to it, I know he doesn't time, but we've talked about a
But
location.
you already got it.
Yes,
right?
yes.
He talked to him. That's great, because he asked me, I just wanted to make sure that,
Yeah.
okay, we have,
I've got one question
Proceed.
to include.
Okay, go
Just
ahead.
a short question. I mentioned it before. It's been about a year now that the entrance sign to Hall Acres was damaged by a bus or a truck or
No,
a
it was
camper?
it was a car accident.
It was a car accident, but you were telling me that that complete sign belongs to Paradise Park?
It did.
Well, they paid for it, we designed it.
Okay, well, whatever it is, the people in Florida that own the park sent a letter basically abandoning that sign. They want nothing to do with it except the same signage that's on it, and for the city to take it over.
So it's our responsibility.
That it becomes our responsibility, and that letter and everything else has been turned over to Parks and Rec Department, head Sergio, and
Okay.
he has that.
Okay.
So, yes, we're trying to get that worked out. Because that's one of the things that the Winter Texans did mention, so on, because it's been about a year, so on,
been
and
a while.
it's been noticed, saying what's taking so long, so on, so forth.
You got a question?
No, sir.
I've got several. Mike, I play golf with the Winter Texans twice a week.
Yeah.
And they've been complaining lately about the increase in fees for next year for them.
There's no increase in fees for next year.
They said, well, the increase, they said that the increase that you had was, came out to about 33%. A 33% increase in fees, with green fees and card fees. From last year to this year. All right? And they thought it was too much, and as a matter of fact, the man that's in charge of the couples game had complained that he could take his group to Palmview because it was cheaper, but the reason they play here is because they all live around the club. That they had offered them some money. And the same thing happened with me and Hendry Sunday morning. Hendry's in charge of a group from 18 to 20 players every Sunday. Well, a couple of the guys got a deal at Monte Cristo for $20 per player plus a cart. And I couldn't even refuse that. And I'm a member here, I'm paid up, and I said, well, for $20 I can go.
$20 plus cart.
No,
Including the cart.
including the cart.
Okay.
And I said, well, for $20, I'll go play a different
Anybody
club.
would.
You know, it's $20, it's just $20,
Even the gr-
but
Yeah, even the group rate that we had at 33 and they go into $20, yeah, I can see their, I can see where, I can see where Monte Cristo
and
is
they're not the
bringing that up.
only ones, like Robert Ramos's group on Thursday. They said we're paying just too much, and these guys
They're at
have been
30.
going to Los Lagos. Apparently, according to Robert, I haven't seen them on Thursday. But the Winter Texas were concerned about that.
There's no price increase planned for 1920. We already went,
No, but whatever increase you had now, because apparently what happens is when they wanted to increase a month past their 3 months or whatever, their card fees were like unreal. They said, we can't afford to pay the card fees.
card fees don't change.
That's what they told me. I'm just repeating.
I understand.
I'm repeating exactly what they told me.
Okay.
That your increase had gone up 33%.
No. Well,
And again, just what I'm telling you what Henry said, that they're thinking of taking their game, and I hope not, to Monte Cristo for $20.
yeah, I mean,
You know, and that's 18 players on Sunday, and we're going to begin the slow season, and I think we ought to do something for these players. And I understand that you even went up on the Sundowners.
no,
You know, I mean,
No.
we need to get as much business as we can get
No, I
and
agree.
try to take business from the other clubs. And if they're charging $20, I mean, it's a 30-minute drive for me, but, you know, maybe I need to play a different course once in a while. You know, so I try to keep them, and I think they're going to leave.
Well, with that being said, Mike, are we gonna introduce a summer rate?
we are gonna look at a summer rate. We've already introduced the veterans rate, which is on the app, so on, and that's been the main crux of people asking me, for the summer rate, as far as a special goes, so on. The group rate's still at 30, the group rate still at 33 for right now, and the regular rate is still 33, 38. And the twilight rate is at 25. But if people look at the app, and just, I'm gonna use this because this is what forecast going forward. You can play, you know, on my phone with you, you can pull it up. You play five times a Twilighter. You play 5 times Twilighter times 25, okay? Then all of a sudden, then you get the 6th one free. Well, divide 6 into 125, that nets it down to $20 a round, so on and so forth. But the point being is, we're developing loyalty. We're getting these 5 times out here versus these guys that are going to jump around and play sporadically. Okay, that's the whole point of trying to develop a loyalty program to where you get somebody that's willing to pay, i.e. the 25, and then, hey, we'll give you the 6th one free. So overall, it nets it down to $20-something. You know, and plus 2, then you get repeat business.
Right. I see your logic on that.
I was gonna ask, well, let me ask something real quick. Before we jump to any conclusion, maybe he should just get the facts, because I heard Monte Cristo was for sale. They've been trying to sell it now for a couple of years, and they're hurting. Okay, so that's not a muni. It's a private course, right?
Correct. It's
So,
privately owned.
I know that they're trying to get out of the golf business, so.
Well, they've been for a couple of years.
¿Verdad?
Yeah.
For a couple
they
of years.
have.
So maybe if he got the information and bring it back to us, he's always, I mean, if he needs to make changes, we always know in the summer we hear it, and you need to bring in more customers. I
From
mean,
what I understand, Jim, so we know as of right now, as of the week, Los Lagos is still doing what they're doing, and Palmview is, of course, doing what they're doing, so on. So as far as the $20 deal goes,
I know we can't get that low, but
can't.
no, we can't. But I think because of summer and because it's slow play, that we ought to
look at
do something,
different,
you know,
different
and put it on your
different
website, put it in.
33. We do. I mean, we do. Group rate gets it.
Yeah, but $33, Mike.
Right now, I'm not saying that's not. It's what the market is currently bearing, and that's kind of the path that we're taking.
Hey, Mike, we just took, well, this past year.
and
no,
plus
we
two, the
just
veterans
approved.
don't
Remember,
get the
are you
veterans.
applying those that we approve here? Remember you brought us, we discussed the new
He
rates?
analyzed all that, he did the research, and we made a decision based on the research he had done.
Right.
And I was part of that decision, but the thing is that I'm just reporting
what they're saying.
What they're saying, at 33%, and what Henry's saying, and what other people are saying about sundowners, hey, don't shoot the messenger.
Well, agreed, but here's the point on what they're saying. And again, I'm gonna back that up. We'll throw out, I believe the single for, I think a 3-month membership, single, $575.
Right.
Okay, $575. So all we're asking for,
But no card.
but no, it never did include a card. You always paid the card on top of that. That was just membership. So when they're staying an extra month, right? Staying an extra month, all we're charging is $200 per month. So it's,
So 575 divided by 3 is a little under 200, but.
yeah. Well, I mean, that goes with the same thing, as you got a yearly and you got everything else. It's in line.
Mike, have you ever count how many rounds a winter Texan play
No,
Left them the same.
no, Sunday, I played.
with the price that you charging?
$5?
They couldn't go no place else.
Nosotros también.
For the same
They'd
price
stay
you're
at
doing, they
25.
would not be able to play 5 times a week over there,
No, agreed.
like they play here.
Agreed.
They play 5 and 6 times a week, you know, you look, and the same guys were playing golf all the time.
And there's certain ones there, so on, that play, and I understand that the leagues, there are a lot of things that we do here at Tierra del Sol that other municipal golf courses do not do, so on, as far as.
We all think we're special.
And as far as dealing with Winter Texans, we're all dealing with the same,
Mike, if you
same
figure
crowds.
the rounds that they play, you're charging them about $6 a round.
Well, that's true. I mean, if they can play 5 rounds in one day, more
They
power
would.
to
But
them.
that's what I'm
I wish I
talking
could do
about.
that. But no,
But your
they're
dollar
talking
per
about
round
the
rate
increase
goes
in
down.
percentage.
Yeah, but they play so many times a week, 7 days a week. If they were 8 days, they would pay 8
They
days.
pay a membership. That's why you pay a membership. Mike, I apologize. I thought you had gone up in the Sundowners.
No.
Well, if we could get that kind of a.
So, okay.
I need 'em-
Let me go to the golf course.
Guys, what can we,
Okay.
Mike, why don't we, I was checking with Gonzalez and Villarreal here on the side while Oscar was debating over there. Why don't we come up with chart on what we're gonna do, and let's bring it up. I could go a special meeting. We don't have to wait 1 month to have a meeting, and just one single item, and be on, like we did the last time. What are you,
You
you
mean the
compare,
price
you did
structure?
the survey with the other, the other.
You did the price structure, you mean.
Well, in addition to that, Mr. Chairman, he has the authority, and as my understanding,
yeah.
you have the authority to make changes in a week or two.
And the thing is-
Without our, I
Agreed.
mean, if he's gonna
Agreed.
adjust it to the market, I mean, he should do it, report to us. I mean,
Agreed.
Yeah, there's
And
no
then
reason
you know
to
what's
do that,
happening.
but.
And I think this is what.
But if he's
that's what
gonna
Villarreal is
justify,
trying to
but
tell
he's
you,
gonna
know.
justify $33 on a Sunday morning when they're offering you 20, I mean.
Well,
know.
again, too, but that's, again.
Now, let me
that's-
ask you this, Mike. Obviously, the 20's out of the window.
Well, it's out, we
But
can't do that.
you have it set at 33. If we were to call you, I'm gonna get a group of guys, 15, 16 coaches are gonna show up throughout the valley. Would you give us a better deal than that?
Yes.
With a phone call, courtesy call, hey, Mike, this is what we're doing, can you please help us
Yeah.
out? And I think that's
That's
Basically,
what everybody
we're-
does.
that's what everybody, and
That's
that's,
what
we've been doing
everybody
that for a
Those are
while.
those are summer rates and.
because I'm sure that's what they're doing
See,
over
but
there.
again-
Because they're shopping.
Oh, agreed.
They're shopping
Oh, agreed.
and-
There's no doubt they are, and it's not only with the example, but Coach gave a good example, but people do shop. And the point being is that when you have, you've already gone, your regular rate is $38, okay, so on. Let's just say $38. You're already giving them a discount of 33, down to 33, so that's, 15% more or less discount. Now you want to give another discount on top of a discount, then all of a sudden, again, this is one of the things that I'll get into later, is your yield rate starts going down to where all of a sudden, compared to other area golf courses, so on, your yield rate becomes so watered down that when you add up the rounds played against the total revenue, so on, everything else, instead of being here, you're down here because you've watered it down so much, given a discount on top of a discount, so on and so forth.
We understand, it just,
So it's, I agreed. I know, I get it.
get as many customers as possible during the summer,
Agreed.
because there's not very many of them to go around.
Mr. Chairman, with exactly dovetailing what Jaime just said, and since you now clarified that you can get something done quickly before the end of the month,
Actually, it's looking better.
April, to start out. There's a national movement for playing 9 holes and for speed of play and just playing 9 holes. And we're talking about sundowners. Why can't we just get an ad on the radio and on KURV, on AM radio, and just promote, because we're getting ready for summer again, and promote the sundowner rate or the twilight rate for anybody getting off of work, keep the clubs in the car and go straight to the course.
No, agreed. And
Every day
part
of the
of
week,
that
and just
deal
put that
is-
put that in the ad.
Yeah, agreed. That's a good idea, because we've already been hitting it with social media, so on. The city has been hitting it with the social media, so on. The specials we are running. And again, we've got, and again, as far as a advertising avenue, so on, the app that we have in place gives you that opportunity to seize the rates, because again, we can advertise it out there all we want, 1 time, 2 times, but somebody that has the app will consistently get updated information a lot quicker than what a 1-time or 2-time newspaper ad or radio station will. And it's a matter, and plus too, again, we're going back to that, but to help create loyalty and get the price down over a period of time with return visits, it knocks it down. So on to where it's still within reason. But it's a learning curve involved, and what people don't, if people don't use it and get into it, it's harder. I mean, it's a learning curve to where, hey, they should have done this months ago, and that way they can see it. But again, there's a learning curve involved with the way that, with the different way that we're marketing Tierra del Sol.
Well, Mark, if I may, Mark, one of the biggest marketing, obviously, it's word of mouth.
Sure.
And what's gonna market the course the most is gonna be the conditions of the course. And I think they're improving. I don't know if it has to do with the rain, Mother Nature, but who is actually doing the superintendent job right there? Because I think it's looking a lot better to me in recent weeks.
Well, did you have anything else, Chairman, on the clubhouse side before I get to the golf course? Okay.
I was gonna mention, I was
Yeah,
gonna
I was-
mention,
I
I was
just
gonna
jumped on the
mention
Okay,
the,
golf course side, gentlemen, keep in mind that, and we'll go through this. The golf course side, once the time changed and everything else, and we were talking about this beforehand, is that when you gain an hour of daylight and it gets hotter like it is today, so on and so forth, grass is gonna germinate. During the winter months, it's not. I mean, you're dealing with the deck of cards that's dealt with you in October, November. You're dealing with it. It's done. So if it's not decent then you're gonna struggle for the rest of the deal till the summer hits and the growing conditions come back. So on. So that's just a matter of timing. It's got really nothing to do with, as far as it's really good, just got timing and the fact that we're able to get out there and do a bit more. Are we still struggling in certain areas? Yes, but are we able to get out there and apply, like it mentioned here, apply pre-emerge fertilizer to the roughs and fairways for the summer weed control? That's happening. Gypsum applications to combat the high salt levels in the greens, that's happening. We're fertilizing the greens and tees because we're getting into the growing season. We're still working on the irrigation system. We're spot spraying of nut grass around the green fringes. And we're raising, one of the things that was mentioned in our market analysis was the fact that we lack definition and contour to other area golf courses, so on. So we are raising the rough height to give the fairway and rough more contour and definition, along with fertilizer and working on the irrigation system. That should help remedy it. Again, we're getting back into our growing season. And also, as some of you may have noticed, we are spot aerifying. We're not doing all the green. We are spot aerifying the weak areas on each particular green, coming in behind it and fertilizing and sanding it, so on and so forth, to try to break it up and to get it going. One important detail, that I need to mention, and that's listed on the golf operation report, is a soil test. I sent out and got somebody in here to do a recent soil test, which was conducted on April 1st on 4 greens. And it was very revealing. The sodium percentage was above potassium, and then as a result, these conditions are conducive to sodium-induced wilt, which means because of the high level of salt, and we all know that. We all know that we're using effluent water, we've got high degree of salt, so on. But the thing is about it is we're not doing enough. Okay? We're not being aggressive enough. And I talked to, not only through the soil test people, I talked to the people that built these greens, okay, back in 2013, what have you. Yeah, somewhere in that area. I talked to them. And I sent them pictures. And I sent them the water test that we did through the market analysis, and they concurred to the soil content is the high degree of salt and the lack of being aggressive. What we're doing is we're not doing enough. Basically, we're not putting enough down to fix the problem. We're lowering it, but we're not totally getting away. We're not totally fixing it. So in other words, both tests, having to hear it from the horse's mouth, the gentleman that built the greens or the company that built the greens, and the recent soil test, it kind of gives you an example of what we're dealing with here. Again, magnesium range should be 10 to 20%. We're at 4.62 on an average. The potassium range should be between 2 and 5%. We're at 1.39. But if you look at the sodium range, which should be 0.5 to 3%, we're at 2.71.
Almost at 3%, and so that you have to add more of potassium and
We have to
magnesium?
get that, and we have to fight and that's why when you hear me or heard past meetings that the application of gypsum, that's what fights the sodium level, so on. So that's what we have to get more aggressive with to get
Well, at
the
least
salt
you
level
know.
down, stuff like that. And I've had talked to some people and they're in the interim before we have somebody on staff, is I've got them to, going to get a plan developed for the greens to where we can start with this plan and get the greens going, and then when we have a superintendent hired, pass this plan on to him, and then him and I will foresee that plan and follow it through, because obviously what we've been doing in the past has been okay, but it hasn't been aggressive enough. That's what they're looking for. In other words, don't be scared of what you're putting down. Because of what we're adding to the ground as far as the level of salt and in the water. We just need to put more, in other words. Fix
Magnesium
it.
and potassium and to neutralize the sodium,
Exactly. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So, and then, then that's the main crux, is the crux of the whole thing is that, we're just, through the time, however much it was, but bottom line is that we just weren't being aggressive enough. And I definitely, like you all, don't want to go through another winter like we had as far as when the greens went the way they did in October, November. That's why I don't believe that we will aerify. We'll aerify and punch holes. I think the best way to do is do the verticutting to keep the thatch out, so on, and get some type of agronomic, fertilizer plan that helps grow the grass, not necessarily hinder it. And if they're right based off of what their soil test shows, and we follow the plan, we should be good. So other than that, that is basically a status report concerning the April golf course operations.
Who does the testing for you?
Pardon me?
Who's doing the testing of the soil?
Testing was done by a company that came in and did 4 greens. Logan Labs, I want to tell you. As a matter of fact, and tell you who it was exactly.
And will they have to do that for every green?
It was Logan Labs, and then Soil First Consulting did what was part of the.
Will they have to do it for every green?
No, we did it for 4 greens, random.
Yeah, but,
Yeah, they were random.
so whatever you're going to use in those 4 greens, you'll use in
Yep.
the other 12,
Yep.
14.
Yeah, and just so you know, in case anybody's curious, what I did is I used 1, 5, 17, 18.
They don't do the 19th.
5 for the simple
I
reason,
know,
5 is perhaps the furthest away from the golf course.
Yeah.
So let's see what we're getting over there, so on, and being the furthest away, go, take a look. 17 has been a problem child
Oh,
for the
forever.
past 2+ years I've been here, so on, so let's see what we can do with that one and get that one up and going. And 1 and 18 are probably, in the, one up in the upper best we have, I guess you could say. So I chose those ones too. So, and it just, and then we can see what we get. But 5 and 17 there was reasons behind those.
Okay, any questions before we move to next item? We have item D, you're done, ¿verdad, Mike?
Yeah.
Yes, sir, I am. Thank you all very
Okay,
much.
introduction of new golf course, board member, que va a ser Mario Liscano.
Was
He
gonna wait
didn't,
until
he
next
didn't,
week.
I just got a report from Myra that, he had to attend. He won't be able to make it because he had to attend a function or something. Now, she mentioned to me, and I don't know how you feel about this. No, he has to be brought up because he wants to do our agendas. He wants an email in your phone. He wants them emailed for everybody, not only for him, because he's to drop, like everybody gets, we get this dropped off at home, for now where you place a business or whatever. And I don't agree with him.
I prefer the.
Yeah, me too.
Yep. So you tell him that the board just decided that, no, he needs to be here. If he wants to be here,
If he has something to say, he needs to be present, just like all the other board members.
Just leave a note.
Yes, he left a
This is what's
note.
gonna be done. Okay.
and I just wanna bring you up to date on him, nomás que
Bueno, pues
he's-
no llegas a decir nada porque it's being recorded.
yes, it doesn't matter because I have to be upfront with everybody.
Yeah, it's just,
Okay, before we go to item 3 now, so he's okay here. Before we adjourn now, I'd like to commend Rudy Martinez, and
Oh, yes.
staff, and I put here plus buddies, everybody that assisted you,
Ike?
that assisted you. You did a tremendous job con Pacheo, on the
Well, thank you. It was
Yes.
a bunch of us,
And,
not
and I
just me.
appreciate what you done, you guys that were there to assist him. I was there for a while, un rato, and there was a lot of people. You
Yep.
did a good job.
Very good.
Thank you for that, and,
The amount of money they picked up.
I don't know, and I'm sure they did good. I mean, you did
Oh,
a
yeah.
great, I know, you know the names, you know the guys. I know Jaime was there.
Pues yo jugando, pero Ike and
I didn't take them, pero.
and Rudy
I don't know,
kinda did
folks
it
over
all,
there,
man.
no? But,
Everybody helped,
I
but they
don't wanna-
kinda let it all.
I want to thank you personally,
Great job.
because you guys did a great job. You and your staff, your whole staff will help
Isaac?
players. Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Brad,
Second.
second by Oscar. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Bye.